Well, welcome to the Kristi Jones Show, where it's all about living your life to the fullest. I'm a life coach, speaker, and business owner in multifamily real estate, and I've had wild success in multifamily housing for over 25 years now. I am so passionate about helping others merge their success and lead a fulfilling life, and I bring it all together right here on this podcast. So join me and let's get started to live your life to the fullest. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here this week, hanging out with me. We're going to have a really great episode today. I'm really excited to bring this to you because I want to explore the transformative power of micro habits. There is something really profound and effective in the small everyday things that we do. And so I want to kind of bring to the forefront today in this episode the fact that your habits, they don't have to be big and dramatic and like over the top to create massive impact and change in your life, to help you get the results that you're wanting. And that might just be you showing up in your life right now and in your business, feeling better, feeling less stressed, feeling less chaotic. Maybe silencing, you're so overwhelmed, you've got so much going on, a lot of self-doubt might creep in. Sometimes we just get stagnant and we just quit doing a lot of things because we feel overwhelmed and we're like, what's the point, right? I'm just trying to keep my head above water right now with all that I have on my plate. So I want to talk about micro habits and how effective those can be for you, how that can give you the most impact. These are small, consistent actions that we can take every single day. And that really feels manageable, right? I'm going to give you 4 very simple micro habits that can help lead you to massive change and that transformation in your life that you're wanting to get. So if you're ready to see, hey, can these small steps work for me? Just stay with me in this episode and I'm going to walk you right through that. So I've got 4. I kind of broke it down into 4 micro habits. I wanted to choose things that you can implement right away, things that I've used myself. So I'm talking to you from a place of like, I do this, I've done this, especially when, if you're in that space where you feel like I can't put one more thing in my day. If you consider these micro habits and making this part of your routines, you're going to realize, wow, this is so simple and takes such little time. And it's giving me like the most bang for my buck. I'm feeling so much better. I'm showing up so much better. The way in your work and your business, like you're more effective. When you're more refreshed, more fulfilled, you're going to do a better job. So I broke it down to 4 that I wanted to share with you today. Before I do that, though, let me share a few things, and I've got these written down here, so I'm going to refer to my notes. Sometimes I always want to make sure I reference like where I got the information and things like that. So if I'm not reading it, I could definitely cross some names, and I definitely don't want to do that. So I want to talk about the power, the small wins and the power of that. And as I was looking for some data and getting some research, because small habits have really been effective for me. And it's just something that I know has worked for me, but I thought, let me dive in and see like what data, what research really backs that up and get a feel for, actually what I learned is very high performers and people that sometimes seem the most busy, what they are implementing in their day are the small micro habits. So let me read a few of these off to you that I jotted some notes on. So the power of small wins. So there was some research by Harvard Business School professor Teresa Amable, if I'm not butchering that name, I hope not. But her research had shown that celebrating small wins and that incremental progress that we get, that boosts our motivation and our productivity. So this means that micro habits, which create small wins, daily wins, can have compounding effect on the overall success. That theory and the research she did on that ties into, and I know I actually talked about it last week. The when I always talk about Fridays when I do my weekly wrap-ups, I go live on my social platforms, but I talk about to do a weekly wrap-up. One of the things I love to take my community through is stacking our wins. And all that means I do this process called wins in a jar. I talked about that last week on the podcast. And so that falls into this theory and the power of small wins. So it's these small incremental wins that build that momentum. So the wins in the jar, if you want to know more about it, you can go in the show notes, find the email team@kristijones.org, and I'll be happy to send you all the details on that because it might be something that you want to start doing too. The second thing I wanted to note is on the habit formation. There was a study published in the European Journal of Social Psychology, and it takes an average, that study says it takes an average of 66 days for a new behavior to become like automatic, an automatic thing for you. 66 days, right? So micro habits are so much easier to stick to with consistency. And it makes it more likely that that will turn into a habit. So when you can weave these micro habits into your day, into your 24 hours that you get in a day, that just ups the level of the fact that you're going to be able to turn that into an actual lasting habit. And then the last one I wanted to talk about was I found this data, and it talked about the psychological flexibility that the micro habits give us. And I thought that was very interesting. So I read up on that and I wanted to know more about it. So the studies showed that the small, manageable changes are less likely to trigger resistance of overwhelm. I totally agree with that. I can think of so many times in my life that these micro habits, anything that I could break down into a micro habit, really reduced that feeling of overwhelm. So that really resonated with me when I read that. That means that micro habits can help people develop psychological flexibility and adaptability. I talked about adaptability like I believe it was 2 episodes ago. And that adaptability is what leads to long-term success in anything that we do. The ability to be, I loved the term psychological flexibility. I loved that. And the micro wins help that with us. That it gives us that ability to be flexible, and it also builds into your adaptability. So I loved that. I loved coming across that and reading that article. So here's what I want to, let me just give you the four, okay? And I think you don't have to take notes on this. I think this is so basic. You are going to get it. You're going to be like, Kristi, I got it. And then maybe my hope is that you already do some of these, but maybe you just have to add one more in. Maybe you do 3 of these already and you're like, oh, I'm just going to add one more micro habit in, okay? So here we go. All right, so number one. The first one I want to talk about is the 2-minute rule. Have you heard about the 2-minute rule? I heard about the 2-minute rule when I was in my late 20s, maybe right around the age of 30, and it helped me. I put that to work for myself in the office at work because I was rising in my career and had a lot of responsibility. And I was, I'm that person, especially, I mean, I'm not that person now. I can self-manage myself on it now, but I was always biting off more than I could chew. There was a challenge. If there was an opportunity, I was the yes girl. I was like, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do that. And I mean, my plate was always very full. But I wanted the opportunity. I was very hungry. And so one of the things that I learned back then was this concept of the 2-minute rule, what it did is it helped exactly what I just talked about. It reduced the overwhelm for me. It made my projects or the things on my list, because my list was every day was like so long. It made it seem I could break that list down And I would allow, so basically here's a 2-minute rule. And you can apply this to absolutely anything. Now I use this all the time, all the time. Like if I'm gonna clean, if I'm like need to clean out my closet, which I talked about last week, it's not my strong suit, I will start with the 2-minute rule. And so the 2-minute rule is exactly as it sounds. You give yourself 2 minutes to do the task. And what my brain does is I get uber focused. If I know, and I'll set a timer, like now I use a timer on my phone. I don't even know what I did back then. I have no idea. Sometimes I would give myself 5 minutes depending on, because I was using it at work. So I would look at the task at hand and determine like how much am I going to allow myself to brainstorm on this really quick, to problem solve on this. It's things like that that I was using it for. And so I knew I had an end time, and it really got me into that laser focused mode where I was just like, boom, I've got 2 minutes and it's go time. So the 2-minute micro habit is really just you applying. And like I said, you can be flexible. You can do 2 minutes, 5 minutes, but set the timer and be like, for the next 2 minutes, I'm going to clean out my email inbox. For that next 2 minutes, I am organizing. I'm going through, my calendar. I'm doing my brain dump over the next 2 minutes. I'm going to get everything out so I can organize my week. On Sundays, I like to do brain dumps and organize the week forward, maybe do any adjustments that need to happen on the schedule for if anything has come up or what have you. So the 2-minute micro habit, the 2-minute rule is really, it's going to put you in a very focused mode because you know that the task at hand, you're allowing yourself that X amount of time, and you won't be staring at your phone. You won't be scrolling social. You won't be doing the unnecessary things because you got 2 minutes, and you're going to knock it out. You're going to get as much done as you can in that 2 minutes. Now, you may not be able to finish. I remember, reflecting back to when I first learned and leaned into this concept. And I was obviously it's not like I was completing something, but I would make progress on, generally it was something that I could allow myself to make a little bit of progress on each day. Maybe it was just like that huge stack of move outs that was on my desk that I needed to, go through the initial paperwork on that. And I would, knock out in a couple minutes. I could knock out several of those, and I might circle back to it later in the day. But it was a concentrated, like for that time, that's all I'm focused on. So really lean into that 2-minute rule and apply that to where you need to in your life or whatever tasks you have. And a lot of times it's great. Like if there's something you keep putting off, like I was doing with my closet, that's a great place to put a 2-minute rule to put that to work because it puts you in go mode and you're going to make some progress, and then it's not going to last forever, and so you can always revisit it. So adopt the 2-minute rule. The next one I want to talk about is the other micro habit is the daily gratitude check-in. I want to talk about taking just a few minutes each day. These micro habits, these are daily things, okay? So the daily gratitude check-in is really whether you jot it down, whether you type it in the notes of your phone, or you just taking a breath and doing, just taking a breath and being really present in your body and mind, and reflect on what you are grateful for. It shifts your mood, it shifts your mindset, it creates a more positive outlook for yourself. Doing a daily gratitude check-in is an absolute non-negotiable for me. And I would really encourage that you look and adopt that micro habit too. Micro habit number 3, I've got two more. Micro habit number 3 is a 5-minute movement routine, preferably in the morning. 5 minutes when you get up, when you open your eyes, after you've, had your habit of, I like to, when I wake up, that's when I like to have my gratitude check in. and, just kind of get connected to how your body feels, how your inner spirit feels. And really that gratitude check-in, micro habit number 2, really helps set the day for a positive outlook. So micro habit number 3, the 5-minute movement, is really a way to wake your body up, the mind-body connection. And so maybe you can go do your exercise, and maybe that's something you jump right into. So maybe you don't need the 5-minute movement routine. But if you can't get to it right then, if your schedule is you do your exercise and your movement in a different part of your day, regardless, when you first wake up, after you get up, get yourself something to drink and you just kind of get moving around, having a 5-minute movement routine, it sends those messages to all the cells in your body, and it gets it connected. Like it feels alive. It gets that oxygen flowing. So what does that look like? I mean, what is the movement? What is it supposed to look like? Here's the thing. Each one of us is different in how we move and the level of activity that we do. So you really have to look at where you're at and see what feels right for you. It's the idea of committing to just 5 minutes of gentle movement in the morning. It could be stretching, it could be yoga. And when I say yoga, if you know what restorative yoga is, that's even better. I mean, restorative yoga is a very nourishing and a very calming and a very grounding practice. Maybe it's 5 minutes and you just take a quick walk. Maybe that's when you step outside and you put your feet on the earth, on the grass, if that's available to you to do that. Maybe it's just 5 minutes of you jamming out to your favorite song and being like, yes, and moving your body that way. Whatever feels right to you, but that movement first thing in the morning and just waking up the body and sending the message that the day has started, your body's going to serve you all day long. We move around in these vessels all day. The gifts and the talents that you have, the things that you do for others, what you put out into the world, your body is allowing you to do that. And we have to be so grateful and nourish and take good care of it, because it's what helps us live our life fully. So spending 5 minutes of movement, of gentle movement in the morning to give your body the wake-up call, the love, the time, the attention, is a micro habit that is an absolute game changer. And it's the consistency that you want to have to give back to yourself, to invest into your wellness. And the last micro habit, we're going to go to the end of the day and I'm going to talk about an evening reset. At the end of the day, a micro habit for you to put into your routine is an evening reset. And that's really, it's the power of spending, again, I'm not talking a huge amount of time. This is you just spending a few minutes each evening. This is what it can look like. Tidying up your space. Maybe you need to tidy up the house, the kitchen, pick up things from the living room. Kids have gone to bed. You want to be able to go to bed and feeling refreshed and like things are calm, and you want to be able to wake up in the morning. And if you've done an evening reset, you tidying up your space and just kind of giving some organization to it and some peace and just some calmness is really going to be a really nice way for you to close out your day. It's also in your evening routine, it's a great time, or your evening reset. It's a really good time to set intentions. Go ahead and set your intentions for the next day. So when you wake up in the morning, you've already taken the time to set the intentions for the day. Really, anything that you can do in the evening that is going to help you wind down. You hear me talk about the nervous system all the time, all the time. And so anything that you can do to be signaling to your body that it's time to wind down. It's time to rest and reset. So when you do this and you make this a micro habit, this can help create a sense of calm and closure for the day. When you end your day with this micro habit, it sets you up for success as soon as you open your eyes the next day. So those are the 4 micro habits that if you're not doing all 4, I would say these are very, very easy to take on all 4 of those. Again, these are not huge time commitments, okay? And this is when you create these micro habits, you're creating what? The consistency. And I always think of this when I was actually taking notes to do this episode. I was thinking of when we exercise and work out, and I'm just really a big believer on we've got to move our bodies. The best thing, the best medicine we can give ourselves is to move our bodies, to exercise, to have the movement, and to build muscle. Muscle is the longevity. It's the source of longevity. So you can feel the best for as long as possible. And it's about consistent action. You know, when I talk about workouts, I talk on my social channels a lot. I share a lot about the workouts that I do. And it is about consistency. It is about showing up and being consistent and keeping that contract with yourself because it's really not for anybody else. You're doing this to show when you show up for yourself in that way and you do even these 4 consistent practices, you're telling yourself you matter. You matter. You are telling yourself that you are a priority. And that is really important for you to always be sending that message to yourself. Maybe you get that message from others, maybe you don't. But it's most important that you tell yourself and you communicate to yourself. And the micro habits, that's a way to do it. And also when you're showing up for yourself and you're, staying on track with exercise, showing up on a regular, consistent basis, you're telling yourself, I matter. My health matters. My habits matter. So these 4 micro habits, so easy for you to add in. I know you can do it. If you have any questions, you want a little help on any of them, or you want to just talk it out a little bit further, you can reach me by go down in the show notes, team@kristijones.org, and I will get back to you. Someone on my team will get back to you, and we'll get you whatever you need to be able to implement the micro habits. They're going to just take such a little bit of your time, such a minor amount of your time that's going to set you up for success. So these are things that I know you can implement each and every day. All right, my friend, thanks for hanging out here. I hope your summer is going great. I think by the time you hear this, we are definitely in summer season. If you just drug your feet, forgot, or said, I don't need it, but now you're like, I think I need it. Well, I'm going to tell you, I know you need it because I talk to people all the time and I know exactly what happens and how fast life moves. And people just get to work and their heads down and then they're going to look up and it's going to be September and summer's going to be a done deal. And they're going to be like, wow, how did that happen? Well, I didn't have the success or fulfillment that I wanted to experience this summer. I got you. That's why you got to go down in the show notes and download my free guide, the Flourishing Summer Strategy. And it's an outline. It's my guide. It's like exactly what you need to be, how you need to outline your thoughts, how you need to outline these next few months so that you can live your summer with intention and also hit the goals that you have set for yourself. So go in the show notes, click that down there, and it's yours. I mean, it's like you can download it immediately. All right. Okay, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. I'm so glad you're here, and I'll see you next week. Take care. I want to thank you for tuning in today to the podcast, and I hope you've enjoyed the conversation and all the info that's been shared today. And I hope you've come away with a few ideas on how to make the most out of it for your life. If you loved this episode, be sure to share it with your friends and family. And also make sure you subscribe to the podcast and tap that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Also, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would leave a podcast review. So until next time, my friend, keep flourishing and thriving and live your life to the